let's look at this. Here's what I have a problem with: a simple statement. This is the county statement on ballots. Went out on national TV. We had 113,130 votes at the time, and we had to adjudicate 106,000 of them. You know what that's really saying? Your machine didn't work.
Well, happy Wednesday, everybody. I hope it's going well. My name is James Hayden. This is Crusader Talk Radio. We're put on by the Civis Gravis Society, which you can find at www.civisgravis.org. Crusader Radio, you can reach at talkradio.com, talkradio.com. How's everybody doing today? Been a rough week. It's been a rough 2 weeks. Yeah, since about a week ago on the 6th, all hell broke loose in America. Of course, supposed conservatives lose their temper. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot to say thank you to all of our emergency responders and our military personnel. And I hope you're out there trying to help me turn these sheeple back into people. It's a big job. There's a lot of sheeple. So nonetheless, I'll cut the siren off. As I said, everything seems like all hell's broken loose. Now they're going to do a big push to impeach Trump. Ron Paul is locked out of his Facebook page for violations of conduct. Social media got a little uppity for itself. Don't they realize half of their American users, I should say listeners, I'm talking about my show. Half their users are conservatives. And the big news is Parler got shut down. So what we've got, let's see, in the past week, was a false flag symbiotic attack on Capitol Hill, which I mean is those were not conservatives. Those were a bunch of drunk Democrats. And they were in the employ of somebody's construct pushing the agenda. Pelosi is desperate. All of the Democrats are desperate to impeach Trump so that way he cannot run in 2024. And if any of his children or anybody that he backs runs, they want him to have a tarnished reputation. So anybody related to him, whether by blood, by business, or friendship, will be instantly canceled off of running for any position, to be pretty much honest. They've done what's called a three-pronged attack. And not only is it a three-pronged attack dimensionally on the map, they hit us by land, air, and sea. And it's gross negligence on the part of the DNC to play so immorally. What they've done is illegal. They've obviously fixed the vote. Jovan Pulitzer has proven that, without a shadow of a doubt. They just won't let them find out how much they cheated by, because the numbers, I imagine, my personal opinion, is that they're astronomical. You got Trump kicked off of Twitter, Trump kicked off of Facebook. He's better off, to be honest. Parler shut down. Parler promised to be up in a week. Even if it takes more than a week, I'm going to stick by Parler. If you're out there, parler.com. When they're back up and running, give these guys a big round of applause and give them your business. They deserve it. They've earned it. They want you to have free speech. Even if you don't agree with them, they still want you to have free speech. And no, Parler's not a place where you can go and threaten. You can't talk violence. You can't, talk about killing, maiming, None of that horse shit. If you think ill of something, then you can express it in words without being indignant. And that's what people are talking about, their user policy, conduct policy, whatever you want to call it. I think it was all originally meant so you weren't indignant to other people. I've been online, believe it or not, since about 1984. Way back then, there were bulletin boards and something called CompuServe, which, if you're old enough to remember AOL, it was very, very much like AOL. But it was the foundation of all of this. And there's always been rules of conduct. Nobody is arguing that. It's all about accountability of your mouth. Sometimes I say some pretty indignant stuff, and I'll even chance to say I crossed the line and say stuff I should not. But then again, I think that was my purpose given to me by God. I was put here to wake you bozos up. So how you doing, America? How's everybody today? I should say the globe, because when I do this podcast, this is way better than a radio station. Years ago, I'll be honest, I'm 50 years old, and decades ago when I was 19, that was the late 80s and early 90s, I did a heavy metal, we were trying to copy the old MTV Midnight Metal Madness show. I forget what they called it. It used to be hosted by Ricky Rackman. So we convinced a local radio station, me and a buddy, to let us try it. And it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. Every night we reached a whopping 108 people, which was really good back then because we were competing with networked and syndicated radio stations. And we were just on this independent. But now when I get on this microphone, I have the capability of reaching millions, which amazes me. Maybe people like me shouldn't be able to reach millions. Well, to get back on topic. So, one of my big things, now we can get into the details about Trump. We all know Trump didn't incite a riot. His words were pretty fiery. He was trying to inspire his supporters not to lose their indomitable spirit. See, that's something that the North Koreans came up with. Originally, Taekwondo was a North Korean form of martial arts for their military. And they had what was called a philosophy about an indomitable spirit. One of the things of winning a battle, irregardless of knowledge, is just to have an indomitable spirit. To not let someone make you sad. To stop other people from pissing in your cornflakes. Because that seems to be what you libtards are good at. You're good at jumping up on the table, dropping your skivvies, whipping it out, and pissing right in our bowl of cereal. And it seems like you do it every morning. How you doing, Pelosi? Good morning. I only wish you were out there listening to my show. And pretty soon we're going to have a focused episode on Pelosi. As I was starting to say, we can talk about Trump. No Facebook, no Twitter. They're trying to impeach him. They want to make sure he can never run for another political position again. They want to smear him in the papers. And they just basically, they want to humiliate him for nothing more than him beating them in 2016. It is ridiculous. The biggest bunch of poor losers, lousy sportsmen ever to have contributed to the population of planet Earth. But as I was getting back to, what we need to find out is who's behind all this. Who is the identity? All right, we can say the big influencer. That's the new internet word now. I'm an influencer. Everybody's new commercial and their YouTube, they now call themselves an influencer. Hi, I'm an influencer. No, you're not. You've got a video with 1,000 fans because people are bored on lockdown. And that's the other big thing I think is funny with YouTube and even my own radio podcast. We're getting numbers because people are stuck in the house. Nonetheless, if you're stuck in the house, I don't mean to insult you. I'm glad you're listening. So the big problem that we have is nobody knows who's behind the shadow, who's behind the curtain. How does Pelosi, Schumer, and Adam Schiff, I mean, these people would not be influential otherwise, but to have big money backing them, huge power backing them. This is very, I hate to say it, very Star Wars. There is a hidden dark emperor who is obviously playing both teams till he decides which empire he wants to lead and command or shape. A lot of the moves that are made are very female and feminine, catty. So, it's not Pelosi and Schumer and Schiff and the rest of the Apple Dumpling gang that are drawing up the big blueprints. There is somebody who is incredibly smart, incredibly evil, and incredibly twisted behind it all. Period. One of those people used to be Sumner Redstone. And it would help you to understand why we have transgender in such a controversial, for such a small population. Why is transgender on the table so much? And it's not to say to put anybody down or to say that they don't deserve attention or looking into or discussion. It's simply to say, why did all these aspects become so absolutely important when the moral majority, even the majority of minorities, the topic is really kind of moot and they don't really care. Nobody's, generally in America, nobody's against alternate sexualities or alternate gender configurations, but nobody really, cares. So it's been what's called a pushed topic. It is something on someone's agenda that has been redundantly and repetitively pushed since the late 30s. And I'm willing to bet if I go through old newspapers and old radio shows, we'll get it back into the 20s. Old newspapers, I bet we'll see this agenda started getting pushed around 1900, 1901. So who's pushing these people? Who's feeding these people? No offense, but who has, what was that? I think it was, she was the comedian who come walking out on stage with Trump's head in her hand. Let's see, who beheaded Donald Trump? We got, thank God for Google right here. Let's see, who? Kathy Griffin. Okay. She made an asshole out of herself. She didn't even really make herself popular amongst the libtard crew. Only the real extremist and the real extreme feminist. And an extreme feminist is just as problematic as an extreme neo-Nazi, to be quite honest with you. Both teams are fueled by hate. So who has the power to make these people look so foolish and act so stupid? Is it Soros? Goodness, I don't even know who the fat cats are. I haven't looked up that information in 20 years. Back in my day, Warren Buffett was one of the big rich fat cats. And they used to blame tons of stuff on him that had nothing to do with him, which was actually pretty funny because you could tell. So maybe we need to do some research. We need to find out who the dark figures are, the ones that are moving in the shadows. Because the king is not in control. The king answers to the queen. He answers to the prince, the princess. He answers to other countries. He has to answer to his general. He has to answer to his people. Obviously, Trump being king of America, you've seen how much they did against him and how much illegal stuff they got away with. Because really, true power does not lie in the throne.